Hello. It's been a while since I made a video, a couple of days. I don't know. I don't feel the pressure or need to make one every day. Uh, I make them as I want. And when I come up with a topic or something I want to discuss um, that I felt I haven't discussed yet or I don't have a new point of view on, you know. Uh, Today I'd like to discuss on this video that wealth is not your wallet. And it's funny, wallet, if you look at wallet, WALLET. Wall is in wallet. Wall. It's the wall between you and your heart, between you and your real wealth. Your real wealth is right here in your heart. And it has nothing to do with the number in your bank account. You could be extremely poor and still be extremely rich. Look at Mother Teresa. So, Gandhi. Uh, Nelson Mandela. All started out extremely poor, and some died that way. But they were extremely rich. And, you know, that's that's what they sell you in school. You know, if you don't get good grades, you don't go to college, you'll be a ditch digger. Like a ditch digger is a bad thing. It's hard work, but it doesn't make you a bad person or a worthless person. Most of you wouldn't have a house built on a foundation that was built by a ditch digger. So your roads are built by ditch diggers. You love going to the supermarket on that road that takes you there every day. So, you know. And nowadays, ditch diggers get paid pretty good money for digging ditches, especially if they drive a backhoe. you know. So it's just what they teach you in schools. A bunch of crap. It's to make you a cog in the wheel, a spoke in the wheel, and just you'll never be special if you listen to your teacher at school. Most of the teachers at school, because they're trained to teach you to be a robot. You know, um, follow rules, obey, don't question authority. Knowledge comes from authority. Like Trump speaks and everybody listens, and he speaks crap. Most of what he says is a lie, but they take it as truth because it's coming from the president. And that's how you taught from school. And it's just you have to take responsibility for your own life and for your own education, and not buy the books that they. I'm not saying homeschool yourself, but buy the books that they teach you and that they want you to buy in school and just read them at home. No, that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about buy books that are banned in school and question why they're banned. You know, a banned book is much more important than a non-banned book because there's a reason it's banned, and you have to know that reason. And some of them are pretty stupid, and most of them, most of them are pretty stupid. But it's just taking things at face value is not always a good idea. A social studies book in schools is not real social studies. The stories in there are fiction. Most of them are fiction. They have a bit of truth, of course, but it's layered with fiction, and that's what makes it hard to decipher what's real and what's not. Um, and as we move on more into the future, those books become more and more and more fiction. Uh, that's why I say don't homeschool yourself by buying the the history book that you would have gotten in school and just read it at home or something. You got to read different history, real history, and you got to be careful with that too because they set you up. They want your likes. They want you to buy their book. So when you have money involved, you involve a whole greater scheme to get that money out of your pocket. And like books, look, go to a library. How many books are in the library? They want you to read their book, so they're gonna tell you things about their book, whether they're true or not, to get you to read the book. And whether the book is true or not, they don't care. They just want you to read the book because to read the book, you have to buy the book, and that's what they want. So you know, I don't know, but wealth is in your heart. If you're a loving, caring person and you take care of the people in your life, and not even that but you take care of strangers, you help out a old lady with across the street, uh, you hold the door open for somebody with a wheelchair or a walker or just an old person or just a young person. Just holding the door open is something we don't see much people do anymore. It's just like my new nails. Yeah. But it's just and you know when you have love in your heart and you have wealth in your heart, you don't always have to fight to be right. You know, just let it be. Let people be who they are. Meet them where they are. Don't try to change the world and change everybody's mind into thinking the way you think. I mean, would you want a world where everybody was like you? I wouldn't. It'd be a very difficult world if everybody was like me. So, it's just let them be themselves. Let them be who they are. You know, let Trump supporters be Trump supporters. They might be thinking they're winning now, but there's a losing streak coming their way. The Yankees win how many World Series, but they lose a lot more than they win. So, this is their winning series. And they're going to lose it. They're going to pay for what they did. And you don't have to worry about it. You don't have to go out of your way to make it happen. Just sit back and watch the show because it's going to happen, you know. And whatever they're doing, be glad they're not doing it to you, you know. Uh, but what goes around comes around, and I'm a firm believer in that. And what they're dishing out, and when he's gone, we're going to remember what the people behind him did. It's all on videotape. We have it all recorded of what they did, and it will be never be forgotten, and it'll always come back to haunt them. You said this, you did this. Now you want us to believe this. It's like the disconnect is just so hard to get past. So, look, it's all right to defend yourself, but not to the point of revenge, not to the point of forcing your opinion down someone's throat. You know, I'm not telling you to be a doormat, and that doesn't mean you have love in your heart if you're a doormat. Uh, you can protect the innocent. You can stop injustice. These data centers that they're putting up that destroy the water, destroy the electricity, destroy the neighborhoods that they put in, and require no workforce because they're all servers and there's nothing going on there but servers. And I mean, a minor workforce that has to work on the servers, but it's not a job producing entity. So uh, just, I would say, fight that as much as you can, and question your local authorities that are allowing it to happen, and get them out and stop them. And you know, I mean, those billionaires are paying those local authorities to let them come. You know what, they're paying them under the table, even though the bank account doesn't say anything, but they're getting it. Don't worry, they are. Through perks, through all sorts of things. It's just like Mangione, or the county executive of New York, of Nassau County. They did work on his house. I think they gave him a new driveway, stuff like that. So you gotta look at other things in a bank account. So they always have a way of paying and receiving, and you gotta be creative. The daughter got a new thing at her dorm at her college. Her dorm was paid for by somebody else. All those kinds of things. So places where auditors don't go looking, that's where they are. And they have trust. They set up trusts where nobody's name on the trust, and you can't tell whose trust it is, and all these things. And it's all legal, but it's not at the same time. So, look, don't worry. We're playing a game of chess, and the one that wins the chess game is the one that keeps his cool and keeps pursuing, keeps moving those pieces in a direction to conquer the other side. And that's what you have to do better than your opponent. As long as you do that, you'll win the game. And I don't know. It depends on what your definition of winning is. Uh, it's a hard game. It's so complex with AI and the government and money. And they just get you from so many different directions that it's hard to keep up. And it's hard to fight. And it gets exhaustive. It gets exhausting on the soul. And we weren't meant to fight like this on a constant daily basis. Even Saturdays and Sundays, we don't get any rest. So just keep loving your heart. Know that there's a divine power, God, whatever you want to call him, is working in your favor. And look, if you're a rotten person, if you're a bad person, well, then you got something to worry about. But if you're not, you don't. And you know, I don't think saw all the celebrities are child molesters or eat babies, but I do believe some do, and I do believe there's a group, a cartel, if you want to call it, that manipulates the whole celebrity system, and it's all run by the Jews. And China, they're running a meat market. They kill their people and then sell the meat. They don't sell it as human meat. They sell it as something else. And chicken. Everything tastes like chicken, right? They sell it as chicken, but you pay $180 for a chicken breast, and it's human. It's not chicken. So, and the people that eat human, they know what to shop for. They know where to find it or how to get it. And China's taking care of that. They got 1.5 billion people. If they're missing 100 million people, it's not going to show up on the radar. So that's a lot of meat, and that's what they're doing. So, just like I said, don't take everything for face value. You know, and they're harvesting organs. They're getting hearts, livers, kidneys, all the parts that you can harvest. They're doing it. A lot of money in it. a lot of money in kidneys and livers and stuff. So, you know, and if you don't think they're doing it, I got another story for you, and you'll have to tune into my next video for that. But we'll see you then.